AEW. Not a lot. Just enough to remind me why I don't watch it. Oh, this is already funny. Just the headline. The list of moves and actions that are now banned from AEW or need to be approved by the company.
Maybe that's why Nash is pissed off, because he went for Brock and Austin and not try to duplicate him.
Well, it'd be easier to duplicate him. You only have to learn 5 moves.
Like you said, and we've all been saying, Tony Khan, you need a hierarchy, and he gets one, and then we make fun of it.
Because he's sitting back there talking about the Brock match, and it's finally we had a wrestling match. Finally, we got 2 guys telling a story. They weren't outside in the ring the whole time. One of them
was he not watching the same match as we were?
Yeah, those games, man, I would say, like, for me, like, the best ones, I would say, are, like, the ones where they try to get a certain, like, time.
This is my entire IT team right here on screen. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Wrestlechat with Vince McMahon. Let's get ready to rumble! I think we are ready to rumble. Welcome back to the Nation Network. Vince McMahon with you here, still using Meld Studio instead of OBS. Here's what I'll say. If you're using OBS and you're happy with it, stick with it. If you've been having the challenges that many people have, myself included, Meld is an awesome alternative. If you've not done either and you're thinking about getting into streaming, use Meld. It is much simpler at the end of the day. There's some getting used to stuff on my end. Like just now, I wouldn't have normally brought the camera on immediately. I would have let that little Michael Buffer moment happen, but that's because I used to have 2 screens, the one that's going to go into the one that goes live, and I don't have that anymore, so I got to remember when I click on something, it's instant. But other than that, that'll be small stuff to deal with. I was able to import all of my OBS settings in one click. So now I just got to tweak them a little bit to make them nicer, because this can do things that OBS can't do so far as graphics and things of that nature. And you'll see that in the weeks to come, I hope. All right. The other thing that I think we're going to experiment with next time out here is having Jay on as well, because it looks like that should be an option. I was wondering about that yesterday as we wrapped up our stream, that I'd be able to bring another person in on their camera. But, yeah, it looks like that shouldn't be a big problem at all. So, look forward to that as well. Andrew Roberts is in the house. How you doing? All right. Well, today's Wrestle Chat really only have one subject on the mind unless people in the chat bring something else up. So this may be a pretty short one. I just wanted to, get back and mess with Meld a little bit more. And the news has come out that Chris Jericho has returned home to the AEW. There are those that have a problem with it. There are those that think it was the right move there, and I'm in the boat of who gives a rat's ass. Seriously. What could he have possibly done for the WWE? What? The guy's in his mid-50s. The problem the WWE has today is they're old. They are old. Their main roster's over 40. The people at the top of the roster are over 40. The last thing you need is another geriatric. So I know there were people thought, he's going to show up at the Rumble, then he didn't, and then we got Danhausen, and that pissed a lot of people off thinking it was going to be Jericho. And I believe it was Adam Pearce that actually teased in a tweet that we're going to break the walls down or some bullshit going back near Rumble time. And let's look at it from all sides, I guess. As a fan, he has nothing to offer the WWE. Nothing at all. They're old and tired already. They don't need more of that. So I didn't want him. He looks good, I'll say that, but he looked good his last return. Didn't last all that long. And it's harder to stay looking that good when you're getting older. That said, the AEW audience that was there, the half an arena that they made look full, the crowd went mild. He tried to milk the whole thing. It had a Hogan-esque thing about it from when Hogan returned. Only difference is Hogan didn't have to milk anything, man. That crowd was friggin' nuts. And they stayed hot for minutes and minutes and minutes. Whereas Jericho had to keep on, like, taunting them to pick it up again. And even then you could hear the 25 people individually. So why would he stay with AEW knowing it's his last run? This is it. And logically, money. Money. What other reason can you really have? Money and the fact that the WWE is not the WWE anymore. If it were still run and owned and operated by Vince McMahon, he'd have gone back. I have zero doubt he'd have gone back. Because if it were still run and owned by Vince McMahon, John Cena wouldn't have had that turd of a retirement. AJ Styles wouldn't have had the turd of a retirement. And I don't think, for one, that Sting had a good retirement match. I thought that match was so overbooked, and it was shit. That was not the way he should have gone out. He should have gone out one-on-one with somebody that could give him a good match like an AJ Styles over there. If they had, problem is they probably don't have anyone like an AJ Styles over there at that time, or now even, that can give him that kind of match. But you could find somebody that could have given him a one-on-one match for 10 minutes. And had it done without all the other crap, without Darby going through plates of glass and all that bullshit that happened. Oh, it was so bad. Anyway, to say that AEW is going to do him a better job on a retirement angle, I don't see that happening, but they'll give him more money for sure. I think the WWE is waking up, or TKO is waking up to, we need to shed some elders from our roster. And you can't argue with that. They do need to shed some elders from the roster. It's a very old upper deck right now, and it's not helping them any. So I say all that because, we're trying to enjoy the product, aren't we? And not for nothing, it ain't been all that enjoyable as of late. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away. Know when to run, you never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Kenny Rogers is in the house. Yeah, I don't know if I figured he'd go back to AEW. I always figured there was a legitimate chance, and I always felt he should. But at the same time, man, WWE just, they shot themselves in the foot, really, because they teased it in every way possible, including the post that went out during Rumble time. I think it was Adam Pearce that was the one that put it out there about breaking the walls down and all that. So now you've given the fans an expectation that you didn't deliver on. And you can say, we never said. Well, sure you did. Stop the bullshit. You just couldn't close the deal. And you shouldn't have a deal to close. I mean, you're not going to offer this guy millions. For what? For what? All right. So the crowd that was at Dynamite didn't know he was going to be there. Let's see what next week's Dynamite attendance looks like. Who's paying to see Jericho? Anyone in this room right now? Are you going to drop down money because Chris Jericho's on the card? He might be on the card, but is that what's going to get you to pay money for a ticket? If Ric Flair was going to be on the card, are you going to pay for that? No. No one's paying for that. The problem with the AEW is they really don't have a product anymore that most people are going to pay any money for. Again, that's why the seating is really cool and the camera angles are really fun, because you can tell that hard camera side is only 2 to 3 rows deep, and that's it. And you can hear it. So as much as they were cleverly panning around this full house, that wasn't really so full. You can hear, look, audibly, you're not going to fool anyone. If that arena was that full on both sides, we'll give you the backside for the stage, okay? We'll give you that. But if 3/4 of your arena was as full as what you put on camera, there would have been a lot more noise. Unless it is that full and the rest of them are that quiet because they don't like the product. Which, that's something else to say as well. Let me bounce back over here. I got to get used to my new toys here. My multicolor stuff going on. Kenny Rogers is teal today. Playing the role of Mr. Orange will be infrared. Welcome, my brother from another mother. Same AEW sickos that were talking trash are excited. Jericho's back. Hilarious. Yeah, dude, I can't agree more. When they thought he was jumping ship, he was the Antichrist. Then he goes back, and now all of a sudden he's walking on water. When you are starving, if somebody gives you a saltine cracker, that is going to be the best damn cracker you ever had. You're going to get that cracker, and you're going to eat that thing up. You're going to get all the crumbs and everything. That is a good cracker. They're starving over there. And they're not in England right now, so they can't try to draw a decent crowd. Fool some of the Brits some of the time, but you can't fool the Americans. That didn't segue out of nowhere. It's a little button right here. I just click it like this and... When to hold, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. Everybody sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the deal's done. Sing along with Vince. Like I said, I am really enjoying Meld a lot more. I'm more comfortable with it already, and I liken this. I was always a Microsoft owner my entire life until 2004. In 2004, I was getting heavily into video editing. That's when I started the channel. And the whole thing that started the channel was just a project I made for myself to work on editing. And I just used the video game to craft that little story that I posted not too long ago. I reposted it again. And, yeah, the rest is history, as they say. That all said, I had to learn MacBook. I'd never owned a MacBook, but they were the editors back then. And back then, Microsoft really didn't have any editing programs. Definitely were not on par with Microsoft or with Apple. So I was over there learning that, and I was figuring it all out and watching tutorials. Friends of mine were already big into it, so they would teach me some stuff. And what I learned about operating a Mac computer versus operating a regular Microsoft PC, they do the same thing. The problem is with Microsoft, there's like 12 steps to do something. If you have a file that you want, an image, let's say, that you want to put in a certain file, well, then you're going to open up your desktop. Then you're going to open up the file selection, where that file is. Then you're going to take the image and drag it into the box. With Mac, you just, boop, done. One click, done. And when I was asking my buddy before I switched over and when I was thinking about it, I said, what's the difference really? And he says, there's only really one difference between the two. Macs work. I liken this to that. OBS is much more complicated. So if you've never streamed before, don't even bother. Just go to Meld. Don't even start with OBS. The more complicated became basic for the most part over time. That said, how many times have we had echo issues? That's OBS. That's the complexity of OBS looping sounds on top of each other. To my knowledge, and I didn't get a chance to watch yesterday's stream back. I wanted to see if there was any. And if you guys hear any echoing, please let me know so I can troubleshoot it on this end and figure out if there's something going wrong. But based on what I am seeing, there shouldn't be any. Now, eventually, there's a couple of commercial spots that I like to run all the time. And when I recorded those commercial spots, that echo effect was there. So that'll still happen on those because that's just the way it was recorded. But generally speaking, if I'm doing play-by-play or if I'm doing Wrestlechat with Jay or whatever it is, there shouldn't be any echo. But yeah, I'm definitely finding this much simpler. It's just like I said, I got to mentally get into the place where I don't click buttons sooner than I need them to, because there's no more on deck circle, as I like to say. And I have a feeling that'll change. I think they're going to probably add that preview screen option. I don't know if I want it or not, though. I think I'm getting used to this the way it is. And I kind of like having the larger screen here. So we'll see. I know what you meant, Ken. I was just messing, man. I was just messing. Good, infrared. I'm glad there wasn't any. I mean, I do like my effects like this, but that's intentional. J-Rock's in the house. Yeah, I looked into some stuff here, and I think we should be able to still do what we do. It looked like they had a familiar setting for bringing in the Ninja code that I would have to bring in to get your screen up here. So the next one, we'll give it a shot and see how it works. Yeah, I did tweak volume levels just in general. I've got meters here that show where things are popping at, and to me, that's kind of where I want them to be. I don't want people to fall out of their chair all of a sudden because they're wearing headphones, and all of a sudden I say something and blows their ears out. So there's that. All right. Anyway, yeah. So Jericho says no to the WWE, and I have no problem with that at all. I was thinking he was going to show up. Maybe he was the guy on the phone, and he was going to show up at Mania. But I'm like, how do you tie him into Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes and all that? Then I watched something yesterday, and I couldn't even tell you what channel it was on. I was watching, and I was just flipping and flipping and flipping. And I see something that made me go, ooh. What if the person that Randy's talking to on the phone is somebody you wouldn't expect to be showing up? What if it was someone that you would say, there's no chance in hell he would be showing up? The pop would be incredible. Anyone who thinks that that man would not be worshipped, at least for a week or two, is kidding themselves. He's Teflon. Nothing sticks to him. Of course, I'm talking about Shane McMahon. No, I'm not talking about Shane McMahon. Vinnie Mac returning at WrestleMania. What better way to bring him back? They already dabbled in mentioning his name during the promo to see what kind of reaction it got, and it wasn't bad. Stephanie comes out. She gets a great reception. I was watching Stevie Richards' show, and I generally am right on board with him, but, man, he trashed Stephanie's appearance on Monday Night Raw. And I couldn't disagree anymore. I thought it was one of her best performances. I thought it made a massive improvement in the match already. I thought it gave Cody a really good foil to play off of. And Stevie just shit all over it about how she's terrible on the mic. And, you know, maybe I've just gotten dumbed down because of so much bad on the mic. And this all of a sudden seemed good. I don't get it, but I thought she saved the segment, made the segment, and may have saved that main event match. And that brings us into another topic that I was going to touch on just barely here. Blaze Radio is in the house. Mr. McCoy, how you doing? Blaze Radio is Mr. Pink today. By the way, J-Rocks and Ken Rogers are both Mr. Teal. I thought we all got different colors on this thing. It's all right. Oh, dude, now you're trying to be ridiculous here to think that it has to, like, make sense because of the way he was talking to him on the phone. It can't be Vince. And all. Dude, they will change that storyline 10 minutes before the curtain goes up. They have no rhyme, no reason. There's no long-term booking. It's minute to minute, fly by the seat of our ass. What's going to get the pop? What's going to get us on the internet? What's going to... So, yeah, right, that's not the way he should be talking in that scenario. And it does seem a little bit more likely to be someone like Kevin Owens or Ted DiBiase Jr. is another popular thought now that he's been found not guilty, which I still can't believe that, but all right. But let's be honest. Ted DiBiase Jr., who's going to remember him, number one? Number two, he ain't in any kind of condition for wrestling. He doesn't look good at all. So why would you want that to be the guy? You could get away with it being Kevin Owens, and he'd get a pop for sure. He's believable, obviously. It is about time for him to come back. So if I'm betting my money, I'm saying it's Kevin Owens. But I'm not so sure it's not Vince McMahon. I might bet my money on Kevin Owens, but I want it to be Vince McMahon. Nah, Dwayne is done. He is so done and dead and buried, man. You know why it won't be him? Because he is too terrified that the music plays and the crowd boos. Not boos him a heel, boos because we don't want you anymore. I just saw another. I spent so much time on YouTube. I don't even watch TV anymore. Another video about how many fans he has lost over the last 2 years. And it all started with the whole Oprah Winfrey send us money to Hawaii shtick that he had to walk back about a week later when everyone was like, you got more money between the two of you than most nations. Why don't you get them back up and running since you both have property there? And he had to backpedal that whole thing. He has destroyed his reputation. The fans are sick of him. Part-time wrestler and then going out to make bad movies. And then one thing, when he was making some decent movies, he ain't made a decent movie in a long time. And then, of course, Black Adam, that was the nail in the coffin. Hollywood don't even want his ass no more. So he's a man on an island. He's got a little volleyball named Wilson, and that's it. That's all he's got left right now. So for his ego, if he were to come out and the fans would just boo him out of there because they don't like him, not the character, him personally. He's an unlikable person. He's evolved into that. The money, the popularity, that all turned to degree. So they were showing that he was, and he may even still be, I'm not sure, but he was the most followed man on the planet when it came to Instagram and other social medias. And I think the number was like 300 million people were following him. That number has taken a dive. Now, are we in the 100,000 category? No. Okay, he's still somewhere, I think, in the 200 millions. But if you've lost 100 million people, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's not like Haktua Girl percentages, you know, but it's in the conversation. And the fact that nobody's supporting his work anymore. And then what he did to the wrestling a year ago, the ultimate middle finger of, oh, no, that's it. The storyline's done. That was all I was there for. He ain't going to be the guy. If he is, I'll tell you right now, that will definitely be the shit splattered on the screen for everyone when it comes to WrestleMania this year. And that's already a predicted stinker. Well, Dwayne is done for me. I'm not watching him anymore. If he comes on my TV screen, I'm turning it off. So he's done. As far as I'm concerned, I have no use for him whatsoever. None. I will never watch another one of his movies. I'm not going to have anything to do with him in wrestling for sure. And would I pay a nickel because he's on the card? No. Again, old man. You know what, sir? You can believe that the place would go crazy, and there would be a portion of them. I'm not saying none of them would. There would be a portion that would pop. I think you're going to see a lot more people that are like, fuck this shit. We don't need you. We don't want you. That's my personal opinion, and I would like the opportunity to be proven wrong or right. And the only way that's going to happen is if his dumbass does show up, which I don't want to see happen. So, oh, let's see. When the WWE made sense storyline-wise. Yeah, I know. It's been a minute, hasn't it? I don't know what happened with them. I don't know the inner workings with the writing team, but who was writing back when we had the Bloodline? Where are those guys? And if they're still there, what happened? There must be some bad food and catering or something, but if it's the same writing team, what the hell happened? I still think you're better off letting the wrestlers write their own shit. Ken, again, I think it'll be Kevin Owens, probably. I just think you're going to make a much bigger impact if it turns out to be Vinnie Mac. Oh, Blaze, I think you misunderstand the audience a little bit when you say that. A very large portion of wrestling fans are, not all, but more than 50%, are politically aware, and they have a side, okay? And whether you are into politics or not isn't the issue. When two of the richest human beings on the earth are standing in front of burnt-down villages in Hawaii saying, we need you to send money for these people. And both of you have all that money, and you have land there that surprisingly wasn't touched by the fires. Why don't you get these folks up and running? It'd be great for both your reputations, and both of them need it. Instead of the two richest people in the world asking us for money. So that's not even about politics. That was what cost him to lose hundreds of thousands of followers. From that moment on, the guy shows the chart and everything on the video of where his numbers started tapering off, and it was right after that. No, I didn't fall for it. I went with it. If you look at my stream yesterday, I played that. So when I first saw it, did I believe it? Yeah, I was half awake. I didn't even know what the date was. And here's the thing, and I said this about it. And we're talking about, for anyone who's just listening and not seeing the chats and stuff, we're talking about the April Fool's joke that Triple H and Stephanie were leaving right after WrestleMania. The reason it was believable initially when I read it is because I think we all want it to be true. Not to say you're going to get anything better, but it's time for something different because this ain't working. And as I'm queuing everything up and I'm getting ready to make my thumbnail, I'm like, aside from Twitter, where else can I verify this information? So I go on to Google. And there's nothing like on USA Today or anything like that. And then I did find a few different ones here and there. And then I'm like looking at them and they're all like April Fools. And, oh, you dumbass. I said, but that's good. I'm going to play with that. So they didn't really catch me. That they got me to make me do my homework before I went on. Keith talking about what is WWE Creative going to do with Danhausen? Dude, what they're doing with Danhausen. That's what they're going to do. I was watching, I think it was WrestleMania. No, it might have been James Romero earlier today. And talking about that very subject. AEW couldn't do shit with Danhausen. I'll say this. AEW did a much better job of introducing Danhausen. That was phenomenal. And I don't care if it would have been regurgitation. I wish they'd have done it that way, even in WWE. If you don't know, who the hell was it? It was I was to say Michael Cole. Adam Cole, I think, was reaching under the ring to pull out a steel chair, and as he's pulling it out, you can see there's some tug of war going on, and he ends up dragging out Danhausen, who had a broken leg at the time when he signed, right? So they bring him out, and it might have been Chris Van Vliet, actually, I was watching. But anyway, he gets out, and he was saying that it's like, so they brought you out with a broken leg? He says, well, I can curse him. And that's what he pretty much did. He just cursed him, and that was it. And then, of course, he went on to lose the match. So the WWE's already established everything they need to with him. The guy is selling merch out the ass, and he has been. His is the only. I have several indie wrestler shirts, but only because I knew them from WWE. His is the only shirt that I had bought when I only knew him from indies. So that's the kind of marketing his guy's always been able to do. He's marketed himself magnificently. And now with that machine behind him, and they get it. They understand his value. AEW kept him at home. We don't need you to come in. It's okay. We got it. Don't worry about it. The hell so this guy, just from a shirt sales point, merch sales, he never has to get in the ring. I mean, he will eventually, but he doesn't have to. He's generating so much money. The fans friggin' love him when he makes his little appearances. The Bella clones. I mean, it's fucking hilarious. And I don't think we've yet seen him and R-Truth on the screen at the same time. And at Mania, if there is a God, and I know there is, please, I need to see Danhausen, R-Truth, and Santino together. I know that'll probably split the atoms and the universe will implode the way we know it. Who cares? It was a great planet while it lasted. Blaze, I don't recall. Look, I don't hate anyone writing. I don't care if it's wrestlers. I don't care. You know, there was that, what was that really failed promotion? It lasted a hot minute. It had Braun Strowman when he was out of the WWE and EC3, and it was so bad. But there was no direction there whatsoever. I'm not saying they should write their own shit entirely. They should be in the room, and they should be part of the operation. So if you're going to put Charlotte against Tiffany, rather than coming up to them and handing them scripts or whatever it is they do, hey, come on in here, you two. We're thinking about having a run with you guys. What do you think? What are your thoughts? What do you think can work? They don't do that. They pretty much tell them what they're going to do and let them be part of the creative process and use their input. Because now they have ownership of it. And you're going to get a better result out of that. It always works that way. So do I want them to have the complete control of the pen? No. But I do want them to have a voice, and I do want them to have input into it. And I know the bigger names, like Randy Orton, definitely can change on the fly if you don't like something, but not everyone has that power. You got to give a little bit more of that to these people, especially the younger ones coming up. And if they have a really bad idea, explain to them why it won't work. Or, you know what, let them try it once and find out for themselves it won't work, because there's no better teacher than failure. It's okay to fail. Don't do it over and over and over again, AEW. But, yeah, I mean, as long as you're learning from that, that makes you better. Yeah, Danhausen's chilling right now on a stack of money. On a stack of cash.
Flat major.
And he's already said he's going to wrestle. He wants to wrestle. He was blaming AEW. Long layoffs are not good. So a lot of times they would be like, oh, can you come in on Wednesday? Well, no, I took an independent booking because you guys haven't been calling me. So what do you expect? Blaze, we can agree to disagree. It's been a while, hasn't it? Feels good. I think you're really, really wrong. Let's put it to a vote right here in this room. We're average wrestling fans, I think. I'm gonna put a post up here. You're gonna see. You're gonna see. All right, everybody. If you live on the chat, make sure you're hitting into this poll real quick. And I'll tell you, and we're not talking about just Dwayne. Back in AEW, when CM Punk was there coming out with pro-abortion shirts on, heading to the ring. You can't say they're not politically aware when their wrestlers are wearing Abolish ICE t-shirts. Of course they're aware. That's why they're wearing the t-shirt. It just stands to reason. And if I thought my audience doesn't follow politics, why am I wearing it? Are they selling Danhausen masks for $15? I did go on the website, the WWE shop, just to see what was out there, and there was a few different T-shirts, a couple of hoodies. Actually, none of them were that appealing to me that I would drop. I think they were like $30 or $40 T-shirts, which that ain't happening. Yeah, I mean, the WWE is going to capitalize on it. And how? Help me. How did AEW not when you hired the guy, he was already the biggest selling merch mover in the indie scene. And it wasn't close. And you knew. It wasn't a secret. ProWrestlingDees.com. It's real easy. And you didn't think you wanted to market this guy? I don't get it. I simply don't get it. The guy has only done nothing but curse people, and then they make the curse have something behind it, and is off to the races. Just off to the friggin' races. He could become the world champion off of that stupid gimmick. Blaze, you bite your tongue, man. Danhausen has more talent in his little finger than Omos has in his entire friggin' body. Ugh. Almost a wrestler. Nah, you already spent time on the moon, man. You need to stay back here on Earth for a little while. I think that low oxygen level is starting to affect your judgment. I should have made it just one question. Do you follow politics rather than adding the influence your opinion of wrestler? But it's kind of there as well. But it's 45, 55, and if I were to vote, I can't vote on my own for whatever stupid reason. Then we'd be at 50-50 right now. We'll leave it up for a little while longer.
That's what she said.
You see, Danhausen and Mr. Iguana could be fun. Infrared, but Iguana doesn't really, I mean, he talks in Spanish, I guess. I think if you had Santino in there in the mix as well, because now you've got La Fresca going up against the Cobra, which that's got all kinds of main event written on it. Create your own narrative. Thank you. Couldn't remember the name of it. Yeah, it fell apart almost immediately. It was just, it was so. But again, they had no organization to it. There's the difference. The WWE, for good or for bad, they have organization. It's just not doing well. But they have the machine there. So, again, if you put the wrestlers and give them a little more control over their own stories or their own angles, together with the person or persons they're going to be going against. And this way, everyone's in on it. And everyone gets some say in the matter. I don't know. I just think that the creative being behind closed doors and saying things like Chelsea's not that person, she's there to get the other people to that level. Whereas I think if they were all in the same room, you'd have people like Natty saying, no, let her go over on me. I'll put her up there. Let her have her turn. Which, by the way, is kind of what the fans want. You remember us, don't you? The fans, the ones that actually you want us to pay thousands of dollars to see some shit product. Or hundreds of dollars to pay for a broken-ass video game. Yeah, I've seen Danhausen wrestle quite a bit. The one thing I don't think they're going to let him do, and it sucks, is the tequila routine. It's like he's earning so much money on T-shirts. Can you not just pay for the rights to the damn song? Because then if you pay for the rights to the song, then you can make tequila T-shirts. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go on YouTube and put in Danhausen Tequila. You should be able to find it. But that was one of the things that most won me over when he was indies. When I saw that and how they broke from it, and it was like, that's fucking brilliant. Keith, I will be doing something. I mean, no matter what, I'm still going to be using that line of wrestlers. My dilemma right now is, so far as like the 605 show, I have that arena on 2K25 that is fucking flawless, and I love it. I forget who made it. But it can't be made this year because they've taken the PC community away. And I haven't even seen one yet that he's even, it's kind of all right. It's almost there. But I've also thought maybe it's time to take it into the WCW, purchasing NWA portion of it. I don't know. I'm still kind of, I just love that arena so much, man. Not only that, but if you were on the far side opposite of the hard cam, because of the way the guy moved the walls in, it cut the lighting off a lot. And you had those really dark, shadowy moments in the corners when they would be beating on each other. And that's the wrestling I fell in love with back in the 80s, man, with that lighting. And we still don't get that even with this game. All we need is sliders for the lighting. That's it. And we don't get that. It's like, pick a color. No, I don't want a color. I want to adjust the level. And overhead spotlights is really all I want. I just want it to shine down on the ring and a little bit of an afterglow into the first row or so, and that's it. But I want shadowy figures in there in these little barnyard arenas. Blaze, again, we're at 50-50 now, and I haven't voted yet. So now we're at like 55 to 45. And that's about what I'm saying. Half that crowd will 100% know politics. They're working men and women who probably had to do a lot just to buy a damn ticket to go to the event. And I wish I could separate them. I wish I could, because it's like I cannot watch a De Niro movie anymore. Can't watch them. And that sucks because some of my favorite movies had him in there. But I'm happy to know I got Stallone. Yeah, dude, obviously, when you talk about athletes, famous people, politicians, entertainers, there's more. I think there's more good out there than you get to know about, especially when you're talking about the Hollywood crowd. If they want a career, verbally, they have to go along with the left, or they'll be dead. There'll be no career to have, and they know it. So they're going to echo what's being told in their circle so that they can have a career. Doesn't mean they believe it. Yeah, but I do think a lot of those people, and I think with Dwayne, his worst thing is he probably wasn't that guy in the beginning. But as his star continued to rise and he started to think his shit didn't stink, and then you feed the ego by saying the most followed man on the planet, he starts to think, Whatever I say, the sheep will follow. No, 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 no. Just because somebody's following you because they have an interest in you and what you're doing and what's happening in your life or whatever, it doesn't mean like you're the Messiah. And I think he kind of felt that for a while. And I think that clapback that he got after what happened at Mania, where there was no follow-up and, oh, no, that was the story. That's all it was supposed to be. No, And a lot of other people also got tired of him lying all the time. You hear about Hulk Hogan and all the lies he told. If his mouth was moving, he's telling a lie. Well, Dwayne ain't no different. You know, he's been to In-N-Out Burger for the first time in his entire life 3 times. And he posted all 3 of them. First time I've ever been here. First time I've ever eaten an In-N-Out Burger. First time. And people are like, oh, really? Is this you? And they're like screen capping what he posted a year earlier and a year earlier before that. Oh, I'm sorry. What I meant was, what you meant was, you said it's the first time. Why are you lying about something stupid like that? It turns people off when they know you're blatantly lying. It's one thing to say something that later you kind of change your mind about or you whatever, but when you know it, first off, you got called out on it once already, and then a year later you do it again. It's just a bad look. People are tired of him. Will there be a reaction from the crowd? Of course there will be. Do I think the majority of that crowd will be happy to see him? No. No, no, no. And I think he knows it. Yeah, Macklin, man, he got rocked with that kick. And all the experts are basically saying it was just a freaky thing. It's not nobody's fault. I'm in the camp where if you're going to throw a kick, you have to be, it's like if you own a gun. Just because there's a bad guy, you can't go shooting. You're responsible for where the bullets go. So if you miss the bad guy and it hits some kid down the block, that's on you. And I really think when you're throwing a kick, and after what happened to Bret Hart, it was identical. It's like if you're sending someone into the ropes, you have to account for the fact that they're coming off the ropes. And he caught him literally as he's coming off the ropes, like within inches of coming off the ropes. So how is he supposed to even try to, protect himself in that situation? You'd be better off aiming for the chest. Now, I'm not saying it was like gross negligence or anything like that. We've seen some really bad shit, but I thought that was probably really poorly done. But kudos to the referee. I mean, we've seen some bad referee shit lately. This referee was absolutely on her game, and she'll probably end up getting a job with the WWE over that. See, Keith, I actually like Macklin quite a bit. I think he's a cool dude. Nobody's perfect, but overall, I think he's a cool dude. Icon, if you find one for the PlayStation, get the creator's name or whatever tags I can easily find it by and let me know. You can even just post it in the comments down below the video if it's after the stream is over. And I will definitely go and check it out. I'd like to know how people are modding on a PS5. And again, that was one of those things where I tell myself, why aren't they allowing us to move the walls in a little bit or make that smaller arena? I get where they wouldn't do the entrance part. Like if you look at my 605 shows, that wall is moved all the way up. So when they come out in the entrance, it's kind of in this dark area where there's fans still. Obviously, they're going to exist because the game put them there. But they don't come on stage until they're almost done with their entrance. But I don't mind that because I love the way the arena looks and feels. Otto, you are on the money, man. If no one has learned anything by this point in time, look, Rachel Ziegler, no more career. She's done. She'll never get another meaningful opportunity in her career. She is finished. Dwayne is done. Black Adam signed his death warrant. But what led to Black Adam, I believe, bombing the way it did was that video prior to that. If my timeline is right, and I'm pretty sure it is, the Oprah thing happened not even that long before the release of Black Adam. So he'd already put a bad taste in people's mouths. Which is why I think he went quickly back to putting out a second video, apologizing for the way the first one came across. Because he's like, damn, I got a release coming up here. I can't fuck it up. So, yeah, all these celebs need to shut. Now, granted, if you're a De Niro, what do you care? You're almost dead anyway. You're not going to make another movie that's going to sell a ticket. At best, you'll be supporting cast somewhere. Or another, dirty old grandpa's kind of movie, which, But for those that actually want a career, and I know, having people sit there and saying no one is illegal on stolen land, and then they go to their mansions. Well, let all these people stay with you then, since you're on stolen land. Oh, that ain't going to happen. They do need to just shut the hell up and entertain. That's all you're there for. Again, when CM Punk is wearing abortion T-shirts, and when that big dumb idiot whose name I can't even waste my time thinking about is wearing abolish ICE T-shirts in a wrestling ring, fuck you. It's not like AEW's attendance woes aren't bad enough and their viewership isn't down enough. You're going to pick not only a side, but less than 50% of the countryside. How's that worked out for companies that tried that? Not well. Yeah, the moveset thing. I didn't know about that. I was watching a video late last night where I was going to bed. One of the oopses with 107. If you go in and change movesets today, and then let's say you're done with the game, turn it off, come back an hour later, turn it back on, all those movesets have reset to default. So don't mess with your movesets right now in 2K26 until the next patch, at which time you'll probably be able to do the movesets again, and you might even be able to enlarge logos in an arena again, and then 5 other things will be broken that were working perfectly fine before the patch came out. I missed the friggin' 70s and 80s, dude. And I know I'm older than most everybody here, if not everybody here. But, man, there's just never going to be a decade like the 80s again. I would like to have lived in the 50s. I think that would have been pretty sweet. But the 80s, man, oh, man. We had the movies. We had the music. We had the wrestling. It was good times. We had, for the most part, pretty solid leadership. People were making money. They were able to buy a house. Crazy shit like that. We had privacy. We didn't have our phones listening to us and our TVs watching us and things of that nature. Didn't have solar-powered cars that were mandated. Yeah, Jay, I mean, it makes them look foolish to at least half the public, or a little more than half the public, based on the outcome. Oh. Well, the jailbroken thing is new. The thing that Sony's always been able to hang their hat on is that nobody's ever been able to jailbreak a Sony PlayStation 5, and that is no longer the case. That happened about 2 to 3 weeks ago where it got out. That now it's been jailbroken, and now there's people out there who know how to do this. I wouldn't do it because you will end up losing your account if they find out about it. Meaning Sony. And to me, it just... It allows you to do a lot of things that you're not supposed to do. So if you have a disc for a game, you can burn it directly to your Sony. You don't need the disc after that anymore. Which means I can come over with my game, you can burn it, now you have the disc essentially and you didn't pay for it. So there's that aspect of it. But it'll also allow you creator standards where you can go in there and do things that you and I can't do in the game. So am I going to personally mess with that? No. But if somebody else does and uploads it, as long as they ain't going to crash my shit, I'll take it. Keanu Reeves is a rare animal, Jay. And again, he's one of the good guys. Not because honestly, he doesn't talk politics. He really doesn't. And he doesn't have to, but he doesn't drink the Kool-Aid. I tell you, he's a really solid dude. And the guy who I got a chance to meet back when I was working at Disney was Adam Sandler. And you are not going to find a more down-to-earth, probably billionaire. I don't know what he's worth anymore, but the dude is as cool as the other side of the pillow. I mean, he is so down-to-earth. He treats people like people. And he's got that reputation. You talk to anyone that's ever met him, they all say the same thing. I've never heard one negative thing about him. And you see all these videos of the paparazzi approaching him and just walking to his car. And he's cool. He's cool with them. There's a video that got out about a week or so ago with some TikTok idiot that walked up to Cena in like a cafe or something like that. Cena's just sitting down there trying to have his mochaccino or whatever. And this dude just starts singing to another man, meaning Cena. And Cena just does in typical Cena fashion, stands up, says, okay, first, let's try this introducing like a man. I'm John. And the guy, what makes you think you should be singing to me right now? And the guy goes off on, I just like singing it. All right, well, probably not a good idea to continue. Do you mind letting me? Oh, and he walked away. And that was it. But he's still cool about it. And I've seen a lot of people that have just walked up to him and been a little, hey, you're John Cena, you're John Cena. Yeah, but I'm trying to shop here, and you're sticking a camera in my face. I don't appreciate. And he's cool about it. Same thing. Now, I've seen other people, like Chevy Chase, will lose his friggin' shit. It's like, Chevy, if anyone's putting you on camera, be happy, because most people don't even know who you are anymore. Black Adam came out afterwards. What was after 2023? Did he not do anything after Black Adam? Or maybe he figured that was a 1-2 hit that he couldn't afford. I did not realize Black Adam was supposed to be a movie with Shazam. It was really supposed to be the Shazam story, and Black Adam was supposed to be part of that story. And then Dwayne decided he wanted his own project. So he said, no, let's do a separate one for each. Well, one didn't do too bad, and the other one sure as hell did. Brody King. Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't waste my time memorizing that name. And how does he, again, we talk about why, Jericho's not the answer and the WWE needs to get younger talent. What in the blue hell has moved Brody King into like main event status in AEW? Wasn't he running with 10 and a bunch of masked people a little while back there? Oh, man. Brody King. Yeah, Ken, Leo Rush, I was always a fan of his in-ring work. And for a smaller guy, that's not easy for me. I mean, you've got to be really good if you're going to be that size. And I thought he was doing really well, but then he developed that reputation of just flaking out and disappearing and being hard to work with or whatever the case may be. And it's like he never seemed to last in any promotion more than a couple of months. So I kind of just checked out on him. It's like if you're that big into yourself thinking you're that good when you're not that good, even if you were, don't act like it. But then I saw some of his more recent stuff, and I got to admit, I already liked his in-ring work to begin with, and then you add the effects and the black ooze and whatever else. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it had potential. Kevin's in the house. Non-wrestling news. Yeah, why not? It's chat. Did you hear that the band Rush performed on Sunday night at the Juno Awards? Dude, I wouldn't even know what the Juno Awards are. If it says awards, you know I'm not watching it. And when you say Rush, how many of the members are really Rush versus, now playing the role of lead guitarist or now lead singer? Those bands don't tend to be the real bands anymore. They might have one original band member. And I was never a huge Rush fan. Like, I couldn't right now tell you a Rush song. I'm sure if one played, I'll be like, I know that song. And you say, oh, that's by Rush. Oh, I didn't know it was Rush, but I know the song. So I don't own any of their music. I never bought an album or anything like that. But I'm sure I'm familiar with at least a couple of their big hits. I just, right now, if somebody held a gun to me, I couldn't tell you what they are. Oh, and here's Blaze right there. These names mean nothing to me, by the way, but Arish, but without Neil, to me, as a drummer. Okay, and that's what I was saying, right? Yeah. And, of course, a lot of these bands don't have these band members around anymore. It's like they've had, Steve Perry's still around, but he's not doing anything with Journey. And I don't know that Steve can tour at this point in his career. I'm not even sure that he's able to sing like he used to. But, man, I'll always say Steve Perry had the greatest voice in the history of music. That guy, he could sing 3 notes and the girl's pants fell right off. Canadian television, that half of the Rush fan base didn't know the song Finding My Way. Yeah, the title isn't even doing anything for me. I'm sure if I heard it, but... Brody was also the tag champ with the Bandito. And again, I've been hearing his name Bandito lately, and I have no idea who he is. None. But the F-Ice BS is too much for me. Yep. Then the dumb fans following along. Get lost, Brody. You ain't no king. That's for sure. No king's joke. Yeah. You a funny guy. Funny? Funny how? What am I? I amuse you? What, I'm a fucking clown? Nah, we already got one clown. Ancient clown. Well, as far as the poll goes, it's going to be a 50-50 split because if I were able to vote on it, I'd be a yes, and that would bring us to 50-50. So, kind of my point. Half the audience is going to be turned off. And you're not selling the place out anyway, so the last thing you want to do is lose 50%. Rush is a 3-man band. I did not know that. I would have thought at least 4. The other 2 are still the originals. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Somebody said it. I bet half of the AEW fan base are up to date with their COVID shots and boosters. Touche, Monsieur Kevin. And I would say it's more like 70% of the AEW fan base. All right, Tom Sawyer. Bam, I know that one. Today's Tom Sawyer got a don't know the words, but I know the melody. The world is a world, it's all don't know the words. And I'm sure I know a few of the other ones, but that one definitely. Thanks for that trip down memory lane, Icon. Appreciate that. It's nice having a streaming device that doesn't crash your computer every 10, 20 minutes randomly. Well, you see, Blaze, now you're trying to use common sense, and that's never going to work with the left. It just isn't going to happen. Man says that it's funny to me, if we had a king in the U.S., there would be no protests. Exactly. And say what you want. Look, he even gets on my nerves a lot of times in our current president, who I do support. Not blindly. There's things I'm not happy about, Epstein files being a big one. This handling of the Charlie Kirk debacle is another big one because they know. They know. And I said from the beginning, it ain't this piece of shit. There's no way. He's too fucking stupid to pull that off. And then their own story just doesn't work. So basically, end of the day, nobody's going to be held accountable for the death of Charlie Kirk. Brilliant. We're just going to silence one of the greatest minds and voices because he had the ability to wake people up from their naps. And that we can't have. Oh, I know it was Meatloaf, buddy. Believe me. His music I own. I got a lot of his stuff. He was a crazy motherfucker. If you ever saw him on like Celebrity Apprentice, that's Meatloaf, man. Everyone said, no, that wasn't for TV. That was Meatloaf for Meatloaf. He had these little violent rage moments and stuff. I remember me and my ex at the time, my girlfriend at the time, ex now, we went to see him in Orlando, the original Orlando Arena, back where we had the Royal Rumble that featured Hogan and the Warrior double clotheslining each other. The house that Shaq built back at the time. Anyway, he played there when he did the Resurgence tour, I Do Anything for Love. And we had good seats for that. We were in the lower bowl, probably about 10 rows up, not far off the stage side. So we were pretty close. Good view. And I remember he come out and I forget which song he was doing. And now he's just talking to the audience a little bit as the music's playing in the background. And he's like, it's been a long time since I've done a tour like this, and I'm having a great time going to all these cities, seeing all you fans. And last time I did this, I didn't have money for fog, as the set's all covered with dry ice and all that. And it was just funny the way it came across. He's got fog money now. But yeah, I've been a Meatloaf fan for a long, long time. Very sad when he passed away. Another guy with an amazing voice. But whatever you say about Trump, and I could say plenty too, he hits a lot of bunts. He hits a little pop fly. He'll hit a pop fly here and there. But boy, oh boy, he can crush that home run when he really needs to. The tweet he put out after No King's Day, I just want to thank all the people out there that were involved in the No Kings rally because apparently there was some king trying to take my spot, and because of your hard work, I am still your president. Thank you for your efforts. And I was fucking laughing my ass off. You couldn't have kicked him in the dick better if you wanted to, because this isn't for you. Oh, he turned it on them so well. The last time I remember him being that sharp with the perfect retort was when he was debating Hillary, and she's like, we don't want a guy like this with his hand on the levers of the law in this country because you'd be in jail. Boom, done. That was the election right there. She lost elections on that moment. Everything about the Kirk thing, dude, this is one of those things where I've stayed on this to the point where when I realized the fix is in, I'm done. I can't change it. There's nothing I can possibly do other than say it was an outside entity. It was probably Israel, something to do with Israel. I knew right out the gate when they came up with this kid and his dad's turning him in. I said, bullshit, too convenient, too easy. And then 2 days later, they are digging up the ground that this assassination occurred on to put new cement in because we don't want it to be something that the kids have to walk past and have to remind them of it. Bullshit. It's a crime scene. You do not do that to a crime scene unless you're covering shit up. You look at the video. You see his handlers going under the table, reaching underneath and grabbing devices, handing it off to another guy who then disappears with whatever this device was. It's all captured on camera. There's too many cameras there for it not to be captured, and there's too many angles in front of the table, behind the table. There is nothing about that story. And then they said that it was a 30-06 round. I'm not a gun expert. I own a couple, but I'm not an expert on all things ballistics. But I know people that are, and I talk to them, and I got guys that are friends of mine that are former military, and then I've seen stuff on YouTube, and they've tested these bullets out in the field. He would not have a head if that had been the bullet they're saying was stuck in his Superman spine. I don't understand why when the government is going to lie, they do so egregiously. Saying that the planes that took down the Twin Towers were so inflamed and the heat was so intense that it melted the beams so that the buildings fell straight to within their own footprints, which is physically impossible. And there are no black boxes recovered. For the first time in aviation history, let that sink in. Because of the heat. Never before. Oh, but because of that heat that melted the black boxes into goo that can't be recovered, lucky we found the passport of the pilots. That's okay. That survived. And we landed on the moon. It's just not even something that... you gotta be a special stupid to believe this. If you cannot think independently, and that's what Charlie Kirk was about, getting people to... When they would come up and try to debate him, it wasn't a debate, and he didn't yell at them. He never yelled. He simply gave them facts and said, now, what are you going to... Where are your facts? What do you have to back? Well, Donald Trump's a racist. Okay, what did he say that's racist? Well, everything he does, tell me one thing. And you got nothing because you're just regurgitating what other people told you to say. And he did wake a lot of college kids up because they realize their professors have been lying to them. Not only that, but now their brothers or older brothers and older sisters who've gotten out of college recently can't find jobs. They're starting to wake up and realize, damn, this is only going to put me in debt that I can never get out of. I'm never going to own a house. I'm never going to own a car. I'm never going to own shit except debt. I'm not buying a trap door or anything like that. I think there may have been evidence of some sort of device or perhaps an explosive residue or whatever that could have been, with the proper authorities and the proper equipment, could have been detected. But not after you've dug it all up and put cement down on it. Stand and Deliver. Hey, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm trying to remember. I know I've seen the movie. Who's in it? I'm drawing a blank on who's in it. Stand and Deliver. Definitely ringing a bell. Miracle, welcome aboard. Well, we were talking wrestling and Jericho, and we've kind of drifted into Dwayne and politics, and it is called Wrestlechat. Doesn't mean it has to be wrestling chat. But Miracle, since you're here, you can answer a question that was up in a poll a little while ago. Do you follow politics as well as wrestling? Not necessarily that you're sitting in front of CNN or Fox News every night, but do you have a gist on what's happening in the world of politics? Like if you see Brody King coming out with an Abolish ICE t-shirt on kind of thing, and do you understand what that's all happening there? WWE Stand and... Oh, you're talking about... I was thinking about a movie. Isn't there a Stand and Deliver movie? That's what I was thinking about. Stand and Deliver will be on YouTube. Okay. Didn't know that. Well, it'd have to be free. I ain't paying for it. The days of paying for wrestling are over. Way over. There are too many side-loadable apps available for that. Ain't doing that shit no more. When you put Stand and Deliver, the first thing that went through my mind was Stand By Me, which I knew wasn't the same. That's another great movie. But there's a Stand and Deliver movie. Now I got to look it up. You'll make me go to the Google machine, are you? Stand and Deliver. Oh, I remember Stand and Deliver. That's why. That was a decent movie. That was the one with the inner city school teacher, whose name I can't think of right now. Hold on. Which was a true story, yes. What the hell's his name? Edward James Olmos. Almost. And Lou Diamond Phillips, that's right. So that's what I was thinking of. When you put Stand and Deliver, and is it on YouTube? Because they have a lot of movies. They probably have that movie, as a matter of fact. That's what I was thinking of. So there you have it. All right. Well, I want to thank you all for being part of the Wrestlechat. Again, Chris Jericho will not be joining the WWE, and I think that's a good thing for all concerned. Let him stay there in AEW and do his thing for the crowds that are there. Crowds may be a larger word than we should be using, but it is what it is. And then in the meantime, all I can say is have a great day, and
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle. Goodbye.
see ya.